Welcome everyone, and we're very, very glad that you could join us today for Indiana's first online conference, Hot Topics for a Cold Winter's Day. My name is Kara Cleveland, and I'm the Professional Development Office Supervisor here at the Indiana State Library. I will be the host and question moderator for today's webinar. My favorite tech tools and shortcuts for busy library staff, presented by Pam Seabolt, MCLS's library strategist. After the webinar has been transcribed, it will be available on the Indiana State Library's archived webinars page. The information for getting your LEU will be in the video's description on YouTube. For weekly updates on upcoming trainings and to learn more about what's happening in libraries across the state, please subscribe to the Indiana State Library's e-newsletter, The Wednesday Word, and check our continuing education website for other professional development opportunities. At this time, I would like to introduce Pam Seabolt. Pam has over 20 years experience in public libraries, working in various capacities, including public services, technical services, technology, outreach services, programming, department manager, and branch manager. She has served as Community Engagement Librarian with the Midwest Collaborative for Library Services, MCLS, since 2017, and recently her title changed to Library Strategist. Through her role, Pam works with multi-type libraries across Indiana and presents various training opportunities and meeting facilitation on topics such as technology, digital literacy, community engagement, soft skills, and customer service. Pam has extensive experience in working with staff to develop technology competencies and digital learning experiences, and has planned and implemented multiple technology projects. Pam has a facilitation skills and facilitating virtual training certificates from the Association for Talent Development. She has been trained as a public innovator through the ALA Harwood for Talent Development. Through the ALA Harwood Institute's Public Innovators Lab, and has training in strategic planning for public libraries through the University of Michigan. Pam's educational background includes a BS in Child Development and Family Studies with a minor in History and an MLS from Purdue University, Indianapolis. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Pam.
All right, thank you, Kara, and thank you to the Indiana State Library for asking me to be a part of the first winter conference. I'm excited to be here this morning. We're going to talk all kinds of technology tools today, so really looking forward to it. I love talking technology things. So, make sure my slides are changing. Yep. So as Kara said, my name is Pam Seabolt, and I'm a library strategist with MCLS, and it's great to see so many names that I recognize here this morning. So I'm really looking forward to talking about tech tools today. Before we dive in, I want to give you a minute to pull up this link. So you don't have to be taking any notes or splitting your attention. All of the tools that we're going to talk about today, everything we're going to talk about is on my Wakelet board here. So take a moment, pull up this link, or if you have your smartphone on you, you can just use the QR code that's listed here. So you could just scan it with your camera app. It should pull that up. And I'm seeing someone said they can't see the slides, so I just want to double check if the slides are showing up. Okay, great. Looks like everybody can see them. So, all right, while you guys are pulling up that link and that code there, I just wanted to share that a lot of the tools I talk about today are for your smartphone. I personally have an iPhone, but as I talk about the tools, I tried to make sure that those tools were either available across multiple platforms or that I shared some other options that would be available for an Android device or a different device. So, and as we go through and talk about all of these today, just know that there are so many other options out there for tech tools. They're endless, believe me. So, so really, it's all about just finding the ones that work best for you. And as I would like for this to be a space where you can learn more from each other, as we go through today, share out in the chat your favorite tech tools with each other. I have these broken down into categories, so try to stick with the category that we're talking about, but share out your favorites, the ones that you use and love. And I'll also try and stop every couple of categories so that we can answer any questions that you all might have. So there is a lot that I want to get through today, so we're going to just jump in and get started here. So before we get to my list of the favorite tech tools, I wanted to talk a bit about why and how you choose technology. And there's an article that was posted by the Forbes Technology Council that summed this up very nicely for me. So these tips actually work for your personal life as well as your professional or work life. And you can read the whole article. I'm not going to go through everything with you, but basically it kind of sums up to don't use technology just for technology's sake. You want to make sure that you know how you want to use it, how it's going to help you accomplish or be more efficient in the tools and tasks that you're doing. And if there's no technology that's going to help you with that, just don't use the technology. So basically, it's all about finding that right technology, making sure that it's effective, and then creating goals and objectives in using that technology and setting those goals and reminders for yourself to make sure that you're keeping yourself on track with it. All right, so we're going to start with some productivity tools. We're just diving right in here. So again, share out in the chat if you have any that you want to share. But we're going to start with talking about productivity tools, and that is basically software or technology that you use to help you complete a job or a task, which really could be any of them that we're going to talk about today, right? So I'd like to start by talking about some note-taking tools. I will confess that I have a deep love for note-taking tools. I don't know why, I just like to take notes with these. One of my favorites is OneNote. It's becoming my absolute favorite. They've been improving it quite a lot. I use it for work mainly. I use some of the other ones for personal things, but it's now free to use across multiple platforms. They've added quite a few new features, and they support handwritten notes now. They support inserting files and audio and images and graphs and things like that. OneNote also includes a web clipper browser extension so that you can use that to add portions of or whole web pages into your notes, or even just images and things like that. So it's really come a long way from when it first started. Evernote is another robust note-taking app. I've used it some, but I kind of went away from it. I just found others that work better for me. It has pretty much the same features that you find in OneNote. And then I've listed Penultimate there also, and that's an Evernote product, but it's exclusively for iPads. And Evernote, when it first came out or when they were first using it, didn't support those handwritten notes for tablets. So they came out with Penultimate kind of as the answer to that when iPads became popular. It is only available on an iPad, but it's a handwriting note option that syncs with Evernote. It syncs with other things too, but it works best with Evernote. My favorite note-taking app that I use personally, I used to use it more professionally. I've kind of gone to Microsoft OneNote, but Notability is one that I absolutely love. It was there before kind of the note-taking apps were really popular, before they had a lot of the different options in there. So I use Notability quite a lot. However, it is only available on Apple. So I did list some other options there. These are some other popular ones. There are tons of others out there. So just finding the one that works best for you and the one that you really like. I've also listed here Paper by Dropbox. If you have a Dropbox account, Paper is free to use. It has a lot of the same capabilities as the other note-taking apps, except it doesn't support handwritten notes. And it doesn't have the recording audio functionality in with that. So it has most of the same features, but if you want to take handwritten notes or record audio with it, then it won't support those things. And then if you just want to take some basic notes or keep track of ideas, using the native Apple Notes on the iPhone is great. Google Keep is also available. It does have more features than Apple Notes, and it is available across platforms. So those are just really great for taking, some of those simple notes that you just want to keep track of things. And I can't talk about note tools without talking about snipping and screenshot tools. There's a screenshot or a snipping tool built into most devices' operating systems. I think it's in all of them now in some way or fashion. But generally, I just use whatever's built in. If you have a favorite that you like to use, please share those. So some ways that I like to use the note-taking tools, I like to use them for taking notes during meetings or conference sessions. It makes it much easier to share those notes with others, or I can use them to create more formal presentations or reports if I need to do that for my boss or for other people that I want to share things with. What I really like about it is that I can insert media, such as pictures of the slides. I can insert other images or graphs, and it makes those notes more robust. So I also use the Notes app when I want to keep track of ideas, or if somebody's told me something that I want to make sure and remember, I just pull up my Notes app and literally just type it in there. That way I'm not losing track of it. So if you would have seen my desk several years ago, I literally would be surrounded by little pieces of, sticky note paper, little pieces of paper, people just coming up to me and saying, I need to do this. Can we order this? Can we have this? Yeah. So with using those note-taking apps, it actually has eliminated all those little pieces of paper that would get lost, I would forget about. I can set reminders or due dates on things so that I don't forget about them. They're all there. When I'm done with them, I just delete them. And again, I'm able to access them anywhere. It syncs with your cloud drive so that you can pull it up literally wherever you are. So, all right. So now we're going to talk about some design tools. They're pretty essential in the work that we do, right? So Canva is a pretty robust design platform. You can design a variety of publications, including infographics, but you can also design for a variety of social media posts as well. There is a free version and a paid version for it, and it is available as a web-based tool, but there's also apps available to download for it. And then slides and drawings are part of Google's web-based software. Slides is for presentations, and drawings is a virtual board where you can create visual content such as graphs, charts, you can manipulate images, things like that. And then Prezi is a web-based presentation software. It does have a free version, but you can access more features with the paid version, of course. And with Prezi, you can create dynamic presentations that include motion and allows you to zoom in on content. So it's a really fun presentation software to use, but it does have a bit of a learning curve to it. So, once you learn it, it's pretty good and easy to use, but you do have to take that time to figure out how to use that. And then finally, I've included Big Huge Labs here. And Big Huge Labs is a web-based tool that allows you to manipulate photos in fun ways. So I included it here because you can use your images to create posters for publicity with some of the tools that they have there. So as you see, there's a movie poster, there's a motivator where you put your image in, and then you have an inspirational word or quote underneath of it with the black frame. You can do a magazine cover, things like that. So I included Big Huge Labs here for publicity and design. All right, scanning tools. Okay, another one of my favorite. I'm obsessed with note-taking and scanning tools, to be honest. So with Office Lens, the first one here, it's a Microsoft tool, and it's one that I've used quite a bit because we have Office 365. However, there are some features that just aren't as supported as well as some of the others on there. I like it because it connects with OneDrive automatically. It will save as a PDF or a JPEG. I found that it does scan flip chart sheets really, really well. So if you need that, it's really a good option for that. However, it doesn't have very good cropping or filter features on it. It has some, pretty standard ones, and they're kind of hit and miss. It also supports batch scanning, supposedly, but its batch scanning actually will allow you to scan multiple files, but it still saves them individually. So if you have a multi-page document, it's not going to put those in there as well. Genius Scan, however, is a great free scanning tool. It scans the documents well. It has magnified cropping tools. You can see the edges of the document when you're cropping them. That's what the magnified cropping is. It also has pretty good filters that will allow you to do straight black and white. You can do color. You can scan printed photos. It does support true batch scanning. So if you have that multi-page document, it will scan it all in and keep it as one document rather than separate pages. So it's really kind of my go-to right now. Cam Scanner used to be my go-to, to be quite honest. I actually love Cam Scanner better than all of them. However, they went to these free and paid versions. The free version is really great, except it just doesn't have all the features. And it puts a watermark down at the bottom of the scan whenever you do that. So when you export the file, it actually will say Cam Scanner or scanned by Cam Scanner or something down at the bottom, which is really annoying, right? You either have to edit that out or you have to do the paid version where it takes the watermark off there for you. Cam Scanner was one of my favorite. It's been around forever. I was using it when I was in college and grad school, so that's been a while. But they just went to that, that free version just didn't have as many features that were well. Genius Scan, on the other hand, it's almost as good as Cam Scanner. I don't really notice too much of a difference between the two, but they're good options either way. But if you're simply just wanting to add just a scan of something into notes, that doesn't necessarily have to be official. You don't maybe have to email it to someone else. Apple's Notes application is really great. They actually support doing scans that will go straight into an Apple Note. The only thing is it's a little bit difficult sharing between, but you can still do that. And then Google Drive also has a feature for scanning into it. With Google Drive scanning, though, it does not work on an iPhone or iPad. It will work on an Android. So if you go to look at it on an iPhone or an iPad, it will just say, I think it just says scan or camera or something like that. So it does support taking a photo of something, but it isn't actually a true scan of the document. So, and I used these scanning tools for, easy way to scan materials without needing that copy machine. You also have easy access to the materials on your smartphone or in the cloud to those materials. It's a great alternative for someone who may not remember their passwords to be able to scan on the copy machine and then go and email it to someone else off the computers. If you have some free-range tablets that patrons can use, you might have these set up so people can just use them with their, and send the scans to their cloud drives or their email. Just be aware that if you do that, you'll have to clear those devices off quite often with the scanning tools, or make sure that the patron does it before they leave. So that is kind of a downside to that. But I love using the scanning tools. I use them, if not every day, every other day, to be honest. So they're one of my favorite things. And I'm going to pause and just see, are there any questions to address?
Mostly conversation and comments.
Okay.
So far.
Great. All right. Keep sharing out your tools. I've been seeing that you guys have been sharing with that, so please keep sharing that. I am the chat will be available, but I'm gonna try and curate that list too, so that there will be a nice version of a list somewhere. All right, so I'm gonna shift now and talk about some tools that can help you stay organized or just get stuff done. I'm going to start with the more obvious apps around organization and talk about task lists. So with my task list, I actually used to use Wunderlist, and it was my favorite absolute task list app. However, Microsoft bought out the company that developed Wunderlist, and they created Microsoft To Do. It's, of course, somebody's going to buy out the companies that you love, right? So I just migrated over to Microsoft To Do. And it does have all the same features that Wunderlist had, but I found that it is still a bit glitchy. They just came out with it a few months ago, so they're still, I'm sure, working out the bugs for that. But the reason that I kept the app is because it supports creating groups, and then you can create lists under those groups, and then within each list you can create your task list. So for me, that was the reason why I wanted it. So for example, with mine, I have like a group that's for shopping. And then I might list all the stores that I want to shop from. And then within each of those stores, I can put my grocery list or, what I want to get from Amazon or what I want to get people for Christmas or whatever the case may be. So that's why I kept with Microsoft To Do. I looked at so many other task lists. I probably downloaded 10 of them trying to find one that worked for me. And I just found that Wunderlist, which is now To Do, just worked the best for me. So I kept with it. I've listed some others here, TickTick and Todoist. Those are two of the more popular ones. They have a lot of functionality. They may actually support that group and list format, that hierarchy kind of thing. But when I was looking for task lists, none of them did. That Wunderlist was the only one that did. So if they do, or if you don't need it to work that way, I also have mine broken down into like work projects, so then I can have separate lists and tasks within those work projects too. So for me, I really just needed that, those task lists that could be broken down that way. But again, there are so many out there. Please share yours. Apple and Google also have task lists that you can use. Google Tasks is available across devices. Reminders is Apple's product, and it is only available through Apple. I think you might be able to get through it through iCloud, but I'm not sure if you can use it without the iPhone, to be honest. But they're really great. The thing with Google Tasks and Reminders is that you can set those for geolocation. So, if you wanted to pop up and say, I need to get milk the next time I'm near the store, the next time that you're near the store, it could pop up and tell you that you need to stop and get milk, or whatever the case may be. This I really didn't want because I have a lot of that stuff turned off on my phone, so that's not tracking me everywhere and everybody in the universe knows what I'm doing. So that's just a personal thing. If you like that or want that, then those are perfect to use. So, and then the last two tools aren't necessarily task lists, but they are to help you kind of automate certain tasks. So the first is If This Then That, which has been around for a few years. It was first shortened to IFTTT and since been shortened to IF, which is so much easier. But IF allows you to create chains of conditional statements, which are called applets or recipes. That's what they're more commonly known as. And these recipes are triggered when a change occurs within a set chain of statements. So for example, if you take a new photo on your phone, then you can have a recipe set to automatically upload it to your Google Drive or to your Instagram feed or whatever the case may be. So basically you set a chain of events to automatically happen when certain conditions are met. You can do a search for if recipes through Google. There's all kinds of them out there. They work with tons of apps and services. They keep adding more and more. So I was using it, but I found that it was really kind of clunky. It didn't work as well for the Apple products. So they luckily came out with their own product called Apple Shortcuts. If you don't have an iPhone, unfortunately, there is no other option. If is pretty much the only option that's out there. Apple Shortcuts, I absolutely love. It allows you to do the same thing. You create chains of conditional statements that you can use to create shortcuts for various tasks. So for example, I created a shortcut to edit my alarm. So I just hit the shortcut button. It takes me right in to edit my alarm. I've got one to play a certain playlist within my music app. I've got one for a tip calculator that, if I put in how much the bill was, it just automatically will figure out how much the tip is. And I've got one to play my podcast list from Overcast. So they do support a lot of the shortcuts for apps, like various apps, so not just Apple products. They will work with outside apps as well. All right.
Pam,
Yep.
can I ask you some questions?
Yep.
Is Mobile Doc Scanner free?
Mobile Doc Scanner, it depends on what, I don't know about that particular product. Some of the, let me go back to some of the scanning. Office Lens was free, Genius Scan was free, Cam Scanner had a free and paid version. The Notes in Google Drive were free. Some of the other scanning tools that are out there, it just depends. A lot of the models that they've been going to are subscription models, so they may have like some part of it that's free and then you may have to pay to get the full features or to be able to save it across the cloud or whatever the case may be. So I'm not sure about that particular one though.
Okay, and then there was a question just asking out for everybody, I think. Do
Sure.
those who use Genius Scan, do they pay? So that was a question for everybody.
For Genius Scan, if it's free or paid.
Yeah, she was asking if people paid for that.
Genius Scan is free. I think they do have some type of like supporting them kind of option, but you can access all of the features of Genius Scan for free without having to pay for any of it.
Okay. And the last one was, have you ever used Trello?
I have not used Trello. I've heard that a lot of people like it. I had my workflow down without using Trello, but please share out your experiences if you have used it.
Yeah, there's been different comments, and whenever I tried to use it, I thought it was confusing, and a lot of people have said that too, that it was confusing or hard.
Yeah, that was kind of my opinion of it. I think it's very robust, and if like you use it as part of an organization, it might be more worthwhile. But if you're using it just kind of on your own, there are other things that are more simple and easier to use and to integrate into your workflow. So
okay, that's all the questions for now.
Okay, all right. All right, we're going to shift to photos. If you love manipulating photos, then you're going to love this next part. We're going to talk about all things photos. So there are a lot of photo apps out there, right? Tons. I've just listed some of the ones that I use most regularly because they're the most useful to me. PS Express and Camera Plus 2 I use for pretty much anything and everything. Camera Plus 2 is actually my favorite, but it is only available on Apple devices. PS Express is available across different platforms, so it's a really great option. It does pretty much everything that Camera Plus 2 does. It's just free. It's Adobe's Photoshop Express. I think they do have like a paid supporting thing, but it's absolutely free to use. So. And I just discover Adobe Capture is kind of up there too. I don't use it as much, but it's a good option. If other people use it, they can kind of talk about that one. It has a lot of the same features. And then PhotoMine, I really wanted to share this because I think that it's going to be a new trend in kind of the photo apps. But PhotoMine is specifically designed for archiving family photos. And I've actually been using it for my own projects. It works really great. I will warn you, it does have a free and a paid version. The free, you can use most of the features, but it does have more functionality if you use some of the paid versions. The paid version will let you do, it lets you see across devices, so it kind of has its own cloud. You can export, things like that. You just have some more features in it if you use the paid version. They do have very limited paid versions too, so I think they recognize people are just using this for like a project, and then they may not need to keep it forever. So they may give you an option for like 6 months, a year, and then they have like a 5-year option, and it's pretty inexpensive too compared to a lot of the other ones. So I've been using it. I really like it, and I like it because it's specifically made for archiving photos. So I was using Camera Plus 2 before in my Google Drive, and I would have to like take the photo of the photo, with my phone, and then I'd have to import it into Camera Plus 2, do my editing, fix it up, and then I'd have to export it from there into one of my drives. Well, PhotoMine kind of takes out like 2 or 3 of those steps. You actually just take the photo right in PhotoMine. It automatically will crop the photos. It will do automatic color or filters for it. And then if you have the paid version, you can send it to the cloud within PhotoMine, or you can just send it directly to your device or one of the other cloud servers that you may use. But I found it just takes a lot of the steps out of it. It does pretty good about editing and cropping the photos with the first take, so you don't have to do them, tons of times in order to get it right. So I think it's just kind of this new thing that may be coming out with this archiving of family photos and that. And then I've included GIMP here. It's been around forever. It's a free open source software that you can download for image and editing. image editing and creation of images, things like that. It is way more robust than a lot of the apps are. You can create different layers for images, things like that. But there's a learning curve to it. So if it's something that you need, like a quick kind of photo edit thing, I would recommend one of the apps for. And then Photor is a free web-based picture editor and graphic tool designer. So that's just a web-based option that I wanted to give you here. All right, so I also wanted to share some fun photo generators. And there are plenty of them in the social media platforms that we use. So Snapchat, Facebook, or Messenger, and Instagram all have some of these built in. But there are other fun tools that are out there. One of my favorites, Shake It Photo. And it is only an Apple product, so I've included the Polaroid Originals here, which is on the Google Play Store. And it's basically just it's a very simple app, but it's a photo tool that will mimic an old Polaroid camera. So I like retro things, but you just take your image, it literally will pop up like with the Polaroid film, and then it even takes a few seconds for your Polaroid to load. So, and it even makes that noise too that the old Polaroid cameras used to make. So it's just a fun app. I really enjoyed it. It would be great for kids, kind of a teaching moment kind of thing. Polaroid Originals, I haven't used it because I've just used Shake Your Photo, but I've heard that it's one of the better ones out there as well. And then Giphy Cam will allow you to take photos specifically to turn them into GIFs. You can also, if you take like a live photo, you can import that into Giphy Cam and turn it into a GIF. And then collage layout tools, those are kind of essential. A lot of people are using those. I didn't list a specific one, but Instagram has one called, I think it's just Layout. And then PS Express will also do collage layouts. But just if you want to do any kind of collage layout, then look for the best app that works for you. And then meme generators, also very popular. I personally do not have a favorite. There are tons of options out there for free and paid versions. So if you have a favorite, please share out. And then word cloud generators, also very popular. I find them very useful in our work because they're a great way to share out those community stories in a visual way. So basically, you just take a list of words, you put it in, it takes it and creates a picture image of all the words that you're using. So again, it's a great way to share those community stories that you have in a visual way with people. I've included Word It Out. That's one I use a lot. I've also used Wordle. So, if you have any other favorites, I don't know of an app that actually does the word cloud generators. Those are both web-based, but if you have one, please share. And then I also included Big Huge Labs in this as well, because as you saw in the others, there are lots of different fun photo editing there in Big Huge Labs. All right, and my last list of resources, is under stock images for photos. So stock images are kind of my bread and butter right now because I'm always looking for them for presentations or, sharing things out on Facebook or wherever, social media platform, whatever one I'm using. Pixabay is one I use most frequently, but the search with it is kind of clunky. It's kind of like mining for gold to try and find something that you're looking for. So I tend to find artists that I like and then bookmark those artists. But it's a great free version. It's really easy to use. Vector Stock is the other one I kind of wanted to highlight because it has open vector images that you can use for anything. So, and they're all great sources for images to use. I've used all of them in different ways. They all have, things that they specialize in and depending on what you're looking for. So most of the search engines that you use have options now that allow you to search for photos that are free to use. Many of the US government sites have open stock photos that are free to use, and each resource should have their fair use and copyright information listed somewhere. But with anything you use, you want to make sure you give credit to the artist that posted it. And many of the sites do provide those links and the text in order to do that easily for the photos. So, all right, I'm going to pause for a second if we had any other questions.
Yes, Paula wanted to know if you have any suggestions for scanning old-time photo slides.
Ooh, yeah, that's one that they haven't caught up to yet with the technology. Um, I would say it's going to be coming before too long. I've seen kind of a resurgence of all those apps coming out now that are specific to that archiving family photos. So I would say it's probably not too far down the road. You still now have to have the tools in order to use it. I don't have any other good options for that, but I think they're coming. So,
All right. That's the only question that's come up since the last time.
yeah, okay, great. Mhm. All right, so let's switch now. Sorry, I'm talking really fast, you guys, because I have so many tools that I want to talk about. So, ask your questions, share with each other. We'll check back in here. All right, so with engagement, engagement can be defined as a relational process that facilitates communication, interaction, involvement, and exchange. So with that definition in mind, and aside from those regular social media platforms that we use like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, there are other platforms that may reach different portions of your community in different ways. So I'll talk about Slack first. And with Slack, think instant messaging for work. You can create a team channel where everyone can keep up with threads of conversation and collaborate with each other. And then Slack is great to use with work teams or with groups that you may have in existence, like book clubs, maybe some advisory groups or craft groups. I'm currently in a training cohort with a group that I did some training with last year, and we're using Slack to keep in contact with each other and share information. So it's been really great for that. And they do have a lot of plugins like Zoom and things like that that will work with it as well. And then Discord is a proprietary freeware VoIP, and it's designed mainly for the gaming community, but it features text, image, and video, as well as audio communication in a chat channel. So it's kind of like Slack for video and audio, kind of think of it that way. Discord's another platform that would be great for book club meetings, especially if you want to have completely virtual book club. You may be able to talk to each other, at regular meeting times. So you can just set that all up through Discord. And again, with this, you may not be able to reach everyone in your community with it, but there's going to be a portion of your community that you're going to reach through Discord that you're not going to reach in the more traditional ways because they're just not on those social media platforms. So it's something you might want to just take a look into. On the resource list, I did actually include a link to a Discord server that was created by librarians. So you can join that and kind of get comfortable with it and see what's what. So, and then finally, Twitch is a live video streaming service. And again, it's mainly used by gamers, but it's been growing in popularity. Twitch will reach those parts of the community again that you may not reach on other platforms. I've actually attended live streaming sessions on Twitch that authors have done. So fans type in questions or comments and they answer while they're live streaming. It's similar to Facebook Live, but again, it's going to reach a different group within your community. Twitch could, again, be used to use with book clubs. You can use it to live stream public programs or workshops you might be having. So there's some options and possibilities that are there. All right, and I also wanted to share some unconventional ways that you might engage with others. And some could be for more personal use, but there are definitely ways that you can use these to engage with the community as well. Wakelet, as you can see if you're looking at the list of tech tools I provided, can be used to curate information for sharing out. It's great for web links, but they also, you can include PDFs, there's images, social media posts can be included on there, videos from YouTube or Flipgrid, and you can also just type text in. I've seen some school librarians use it for their e-newsletter to their students in the school. So there's lots of different ways that you can use Wakelet. Flipgrid is a fun tool that incorporates video into the engagement part. So you create a grid and then you add a topic. And then when you add that topic, you can get a QR code that you distribute to people. And they just need the Flipgrid app and they can record a short video. So say that you wanted to do like book tops. book talks, you could create that grid, share that out, and then they would just go on, they'd record however long that you set that to record, just talking about their favorite books. That's just one example. I could see ways that you could use this with community engagement. If you were trying to find out what the community really wants, you could set this up. Again, it's going to reach certain parts of your community that you might not reach in more traditional ways. And you have full control over those videos. You can set how long that they have the option to record, if they need to be approved before they get posted and others could see them, all that kind of stuff. You can even use that for mini presentations. So say you wanted to give money away to the community for certain projects and they needed to apply and do a little presentation, you could actually set that up so they could do the presentation through Flipgrid. So lots of different ways that you can use that. And then I've included TimeToast and Timeline.js. They're timeline tools, so you can use those to create engagement or understanding. So for example, if you use it with a book club, you can create kind of a timeline of your book club if it's a long-running book club. You can use it for local history projects. You know, ask people when they've come to the community and create kind of this huge timeline of when their families came to the community. You can use it in programs and workshops, lots of different ways. So I like timeline tools. I think they work great to support, some kind of programming options and that. And then I've included 3 cents here. That's an Apple app. I did not find another option on Android devices or other devices. So if you know of something, please let me know. But you can use this app to create polls for people. And you need the app to create the poll, but the person answering doesn't necessarily need to have the app to answer. So you could use this on your social media pages, poll, what's your favorite book? You put your options in, they can answer from there. You can also send it through messaging, email, Twitter, and Facebook. I think those are what they support right now. So it's just a great option for getting people's input into different things. Padlet is an online bulletin board that you can post information on. You can also include collaborators with that Padlet board, so they can post or answer questions. And this would be great to use kind of to curate input with groups. So your book clubs, again, advisory groups, whatever the case may be that you have out there. And the last thing I just kind of wanted to touch on was QR codes. They've been around forever. I remember that, when the smartphones first came out, there was a QR code reader. Most of the smartphones now have a built-in QR code reader into your camera. So when you open up your camera app and scan the QR code, then it just comes up for you. And I've included a link on the resource page that has where you can actually use a customized image to create that QR code. So you could load in like your library's logo and use it to create a QR code that you can use. So, all right. Any questions? I'm going to shift to digital privacy here in a second.
Let's see. Julie was curious. She's in a very small library, 3 employees, and she was asking everyone if they use personal devices at work or does the library have a device they use? So.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have struggled with that for so many years, and honestly, when I came to MCLS, like my phone is everything that I use for work. That was kind of one of the agreements when I came in. So it belongs to me and I pay the bill, but I use everything on it for work time too. So that's really, it's just a decision that you need to make within your organization. When I was working in the library, I really struggled with it because it was so much easier for me to do everything on my phone, but it didn't necessarily connect with all of the services that we were using at the library. So I know when I was using my personal phone for a lot of work stuff, and it really kind of, in essence, was a work phone. They just didn't provide it for me. I just did stuff on it through work. So I know that's not very helpful, but
that's pretty much what everyone else is saying too,
yeah.
that they use their personal phone for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I've got right now.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to shift to digital privacy. Digital privacy is a pretty complex issue, and it's changing rapidly because things are happening every day that kind of change, what digital privacy is. But when it boils down, it basically encompasses privacy around data, communication, and our own individual privacy. So I provided some password savers generators on here. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about those. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. I personally was using LastPass, and then MCLS uses LastPass as an organization. So it's great because you can actually merge those two accounts, even though nobody else can see the two except for you. So I think there's a lot of functionality with LastPass. It is free, but they also have some subscription ones as well. And then 1Password is just subscription. It does a lot of the same functionality as LastPass, so it's just whatever you prefer. Or if your organization has one that you use, it may be best to use that one. And then Apple Passwords and Google Passwords. So they've created these within their tools that they offer now. They don't have nearly as much functionality as a service like LastPass or 1Password, but they do still have a lot of functionality. And Apple Passwords probably has the least functionality out of all of them. Basically, it'll just save passwords within your Apple device. So, and I think it really only works with web pages. It doesn't work necessarily across like apps and different devices and that. So Google Passwords is more similar to LastPass and 1Password. So. All right, so some other privacy tools that I wanted to share are all web-based, but they're really great resources for you to look at around digital privacy. So first is ALA's initiative, Choose Privacy Every Day. It has excellent resources for libraries around privacy, including what should be included in a library privacy policy. So I'd recommend taking a look at that. The Data Detox Kit is just a really fun tool to use and share with other people. It has great pathfinders set up to walk you through privacy options in your digital life. I also included on the Wakelet board a PDF called A Data Day that walks you through all the possible interactions that you might have with data throughout the day and the information that would be collected from those. And the Virtual Privacy Lab was created by the San Jose Public Library in California, and they received grant money to create their virtual lab. And anyone around the world is able to sign up and actually use this tool. It's a great tool to customize what you want to know about different areas of privacy. They are actually, the San Jose Public Library is one of the libraries at the forefront of digital privacy in libraries in the US. So you can also find on that page their library's privacy policy, their vendor privacy policy, and it even gives information that came out of their privacy audit for their library. So it's just a really great resource to kind of keep up with them in privacy. And then Connect Safely is a nonprofit organization out of California that works to educate people about safety and privacy and security online. They have a lot of great resources, but much of their content is geared towards parents and helping their children navigate online. So I really wanted to share that because of that reason. And How Secure is My Password is a very simple web-based tool that's great to share with patrons so they can check how secure their passwords really are. It's meant to be an educational tool, so you might create some simple to complex passwords that would demonstrate how you could use that tool. It's sponsored by Dashlane, which is another password keeper generator. I'm not too familiar with Dashlane, but they may be just as good as like LastPass or 1Password, I'm not sure. And then finally, DuckDuckGo is an internet search engine that protects searchers' privacy by not using that personal information to customize search results. So basically, no matter who searches where you are, who you are, where you are, any of that, it's going to bring back the same search results for everyone. So this is a web-based tool, but they actually have apps for each of the devices. So both Apple and Android, it's available. All right. Okay, so the last few things that I wanted to talk about, I can't leave out the things that help us with our well-being, right? So with me, I'm one of those people, I cannot go to sleep without some kind of white noise thing going on. So Sleep Pillow is my absolute favorite white noise app. I've actually been using it for several years. It is only available as an Apple product. So I included white noise here. It's one of the highest rated apps. It is available across platforms, so you could just download this one probably. I just, at the time when I was downloading it, Sleep Pillow was pretty much all that was out there, so that's just what I use. But basically, it provides all kinds of different sounds. You can just play one sound, or you can create, combinations of different sounds, just to kind of, I use it sometimes because there's nature sounds on there, in the middle of winter when you're dying for like the spring sounds, like, put the bird noises on just to kind of help you. So I also included Calm on here, which it does have white noise stuff in it, but it's more than just a white noise app. They have guided meditations, tools to help you relax and sleep. It is one of the highest rated relaxation apps that's out there right now. And if you need a more unusual approach to relaxation, you might want to check out We Croak. So We Croak is inspired by a Bhutanese saying, to be a happy person, one must contemplate death 5 times daily. So 5 times a day, just at random times, different times every day, it sends out a notification that includes a quote or an inspiration about death. And it comes from a poet or a philosopher, a notable thinker. So I can say I have not used this one yet, but I was so intrigued by the fact that it was out there that I just had to share it. So if you have used it, I would love to hear about your experience with it, but I should just sign up for it just to see what it does. But I kind of loved the thought of it. So, and the last point is just kind of a suggestion. Keep track of your phone or device usage. Tools are now built into the mobile operating systems, so you can measure how much time you're on your phone. It also will give you a breakdown across apps, that kind of thing. But you can set goals and reminders, tell yourself to put down the phone or turn off the notifications for things, or, whatever. You'll probably be highly surprised at how often you actually use your phone and look at it. So that goes back to the recommendation of not using technology for technology's sake. Be very strategic and intentional about how and when you use your technology. Because with everything that goes on in our lives, it's all about finding that balance. So, all right. The last few tools that I just want to share are just because they're some of my favorites. So, Bitmoji, I use it mainly for work. I don't use it so much in my personal life, sorry, I was just looking at the chat for a second. So Bitmoji, as you've seen, I've used it throughout this presentation. It's just creating an avatar for yourself. It makes things more personal, especially if you're doing things online or digitally. It just kind of gives more of a personal connection with that. So Bitstrips is another really popular one, but I use Bitmoji. So, and for podcasts, I didn't list a particular podcast app. I use Overcast, but this is just, again, I found with podcast people, it's highly personal. So if you listen to podcasts, you just have to find one that really works for you. I quit using the podcast player that was provided on like the Apple devices because it just didn't have all the features that I wanted. It was kind of annoying. So I used Overcast, but if you use another one, there's some great ones out there. So share those. Yelp, Around Me, and TripAdvisor, they're tools that I use routinely to find things near where I am. I travel a lot, so it's great to be able to find places to eat. If you want to know how safe certain locations are, TripAdvisor is really great for that. So they're just great tools to kind of help you navigate where you are. And then Goodreads, if you're not using and recommending it to others, please go take a look at it right now. But it's great for all types of things. Share it with people so that they can curate lists. I use it personally. I was using it professionally. I used it for book clubs. I used it to tell people, when they said, I can't keep track of all the books I've read. That's a great way. So it has a barcode scanner in it built into it, so you can just scan the ISBN code and it will load it into your list. And then, as silly as it may seem, I actually have used the Measure and the Level apps on my phone. I've used them more than I probably ever thought I would, but I included them here because I actually do like using them. It's easier sometimes using those than going to find, a heavy level or something. The Measure app, I wasn't quite sure if it would work that well, but it's pretty decent. So I included it here. And then just a fun photo or a video app, the 8mm with Apple, and then a vintage 8mm video through Android devices. It's just fun. It really does take like old looking 8mm type video, just something fun to play with. And then, excuse me, SoundHound is the last one that I just wanted to share. And I've used this more than I ever thought I would as well. But it's a app that does speech recognition, audio recognition. So basically you just click a button within the SoundHound app and it'll start listening. And SoundHound is made specifically for music, but it'll listen to what song's being played and it will tell you what song it is. So if you hear a song, it's driving you crazy, you want to know what it is, pull it out, you could play it. Yeah, all kinds of uses for it. I use it way more than I ever thought I would, but I've had it for several years and I keep it on there because I'm like, oh, I do occasionally pull that out and use it. So it's just one I like to use. All right, and the last thing I'm going to share is just some of my favorite tips around technology. So the first one is figure out the keyboard shortcuts and how to use them. That can make your life so much easier if you know which ones are you can incorporate more easily. Find a good tech glossary. I've included Techopedia, I think, on your resource list. But just find a good tech glossary. If you're not sure what somebody's saying to you, go look it up. I would use that a lot when patrons would come in and talk to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'd have to go search for it. So invest in a decent portable charger for your phone and keep it handy. And also invest in a decent Bluetooth speaker. You can use this in meetings, you can use it in programs, in book clubs, things like that. And then the use the scheduling feature to send emails is kind of just a tip. You know, I had this conversation the other day with a coworker, and we were saying that, you know, sometimes we work on the evenings and weekends, we might send an email out, but we don't expect somebody to be sitting there like, oh, now I have to go answer that. We just are sending it because we don't want to forget about it. But I told her, I said, you know, I tend to use the scheduling feature to send those emails so that I schedule it to send the next time that person's in the office. So, you know, they're not getting it on their weekend thinking they have to do something with it. There are lots of other ways that you can do it. You know, I may write something out in the morning that I really don't want to like hit the listers until, you know, later in the day or whatever the case may be. It's just kind of a good tip to use that feature. I think it's built into most of the email clients now. And last but certainly not least, make sure that you experiment, that you explore and have fun with it. There are tons of tools out there. It's just whatever is your favorite. So that means you have to download them, you have to play with them. If they don't work, you know, be willing to get another one that works for you. So don't be afraid to get something, think it works, and then find out that it doesn't, because that's the only way that you figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So, all right.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I do have 3 questions that came up at the end.
Sure.
One was, can we share your Wakelet out with others?
Oh, sure. Go for it.
Okay. So the Wakelet can be shared.
Yes.
Someone was asking about a curbside app for texting patrons that items are ready for curb pickup. Are you aware of anything like that?
Ooh, I am not. I know that there has to be some kind of tool that you could make that happen with. I know that there are like apps that will send out like batch text messages. So I think Google has some sort of functionality with that as well. So that may be a good one to research how you could actually make that happen. But I think that there is some type of capability out there. I'm not sure of one though.
Okay. And the last one is apps to use to remind patrons of upcoming programs, activities, events, things like that.
Ooh, yeah, that's one, there's lots of different ways. So if you have like a calendar software, they often have that built into it. But as for a separate like standalone app, it may be just kind of like building in an automated functionality somehow to make that happen.
Okay. And someone I think did type in about remind.com. So
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. That's a great option.
for those of you, before you log off, make sure that you download the TLEU certificate that's in the top box. We also have a survey link. And then at the end or the last box, we have Pam's contact information and everything that has been discussed today as far as the chat, um, the link, everything that Pam has talked about. We will send out emails, follow-up emails with the recording link, all of those things that you heard today, you'll get in an email. Uh, Pam, thank you so much. I know that was a lot to try to cram into an hour, but you did a fantastic job. So thank you so much for doing this.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today.